M is for Mason.
G is for Graham.
B for Betcha.
This is the Mgb Wrestling Podcast, the podcast with PG-rated material accessible to wrestling fans of all ages.
My name is Graham Bagshaw, and my co-host and creator of this podcast is proof that wrestling fans live with their parents. My 10-year-old son, Mason. So, it was a busy week for us, Mason. We were at MCW on Saturday, and today, if you're listening, today we're actually going to be going to Nova Pro. This really comes out on Friday. You want to tell us about any particular match or star you're looking forward to seeing this weekend?
I'm looking forward to the Old Dominion Royal Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen a Royal Rumble in person. It's Nova Pro, which I'm always overexcited for, and I'm really excited. Yeah, and we got front row seats.
We do. It's our first time with front row seats. We had general admission to the sink or swim, but you could sit where you like, so we sat front row. But yeah, it's our first time on front row for a Nova Pro event, and actually for the next 3 events, we've actually got front row seats, so it's going to be pretty exciting. From everything I can see online, it is going to be 30 people as well, and I thought they might do a scaled down version, so that's certainly something that's pretty cool as well. Now, the other exciting thing this week, we talked about firsts, we talked about the fact that we had our first guest, the fact we were on the network, and then we had our first interview last week. So the first this week is we got our first 5-star review. How about that?
That's cool. We've been coming a long way now.
It is pretty cool. I know it's just a rating, but it's something that's, I'm going to say, from listening to podcasts for years, it's sort of like that benchmark. It's like a standard. So we actually got it on iTunes Ireland. I know the person a little bit who actually gave us that rating. It's from a podcast that I listen to. It's one that you don't listen to. It's called She Hates Wrestling. So it's the guy who watches the wrestling with his wife, who doesn't watch the wrestling. She doesn't like wrestling, and then it's that cool dynamic. So if you're an adult or perhaps someone a little bit older who wants a podcast to listen to, that's definitely one to go check out as well. Sorry, Mason, you got to wait a few years for listening to that one, but they have something kind of relatable. We have the sort of the older, younger generation dynamic, and they have the male-female dynamic, but in terms of likes and dislikes wrestling. So it's kind of a cool podcast to listen to.
Well, I'm fine. I'm stacked with good podcasts.
You've got a few. And one we're going to talk about when we get to Podcast of the Week later as well. So if you got the chance, please take a moment to give us a 5-star rating and review us on iTunes on the Visionaries Wrestling Network. Make sure you mention the Mgb Wrestling Podcast, and make sure you mention Mason as well, and make a 10-year-old's day. And actually, I got it right this time. I've been missing. I promised the guys this week I would actually get it correct. I said Visionaries, because sometimes I've said Visionary. I said Wrestling, because sometimes I've said Wrestlers. And I get the word network right, but I said I was going to make a much better effort to do that. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Mgb Wrestling Pod, and you can follow me at Mr. Bagshaw. Also, find episodes 1 to 6 and our Nova Pro specials A1 and A2 on our YouTube page, which is www.tinyurl.com/YouTubeMGB. On Monday, you can listen to Ringside Rant with RJ. Tuesday, we've got Cayden Nation now, Chris Cayden. And Thursday, of course, the regular for use from the top rope with Chad, Diesel, and JR.
Let's take a look at the card for episode 9. We'll have This Week in Wrestling News, MCW Wrestling Spring Fever, Are You Smarter Than a Fourth Grader, our review of Monday Night Raw, Tweet of the Week, our review of Smackdown Live, and Podcast of the Week.
And match 1, scheduled for
1-4.
This Week in Wrestling News. Now, this week, actually, I saw on the WWE website, they released their quarterly power rankings. Now, you might remember recently Smackdown started doing their weekly rankings, which wasn't really much. I don't think anybody really liked it. And I've not seen these before. We've been watching wrestling now on WWE for probably about a couple of years, a little bit over that. And I don't think I've ever seen these before. So they actually come up with what their top 10 is, sort of like power movers. So after WrestleMania's happened, who's on the up, who's on the down, and that sort of thing. So I'm going to read out who the top 10 were, but I wanted to see how you could do first of all. Let's see how well you can do. Let's see if you can try and pick number 1 first of all. And you didn't know I was going to ask you this at all, because I didn't share this with you.
So like the person that's going to be the next biggest
No, who's the biggest person right now in WWE? And we kind of talked about this with the Meltzer quote from a couple weeks ago.
I'm going Braun Strowman.
Braun Strowman's actually number 5, so you got a top 5 pick, so that's pretty good. So go on, give me a few more guesses then.
Asuka?
Amazingly, Asuka's not on that list at all. She wasn't anywhere in the top 10, which kind of surprised me a little bit as well. There were a few surprises on here for sure.
Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns is probably the biggest surprise. He didn't even make the top 10. All the moves that they've been doing to push him, and we know he's going to feature in that Greatest Royal Rumble match against Brock Lesnar. He didn't even make the top 10, which was a real surprise for me.
Oh, Charlotte?
Charlotte was number 4, so that was a good pick. Obviously, with her beating Asuka, she was going to be higher ranked than Asuka, probably.
Carmella?
Carmella made the list as well. She was number 9 after she cashed in and then won it. So now, obviously, she holds the title, so she has a little bit of power right now. Any more guesses you want to make while you're doing well?
Nia Jax?
Nia Jax is 6. And I think you got all the women now. So Charlotte was 4, Nia was 6. Oh, Carmella was 9. There's one more woman actually on the list.
Oh, Alexa Bliss?
No, Ronda Rousey, of course.
Oh.
Even though she's only had one match, she's obviously on. Her ranking is just so high right now. Everybody sort of loves Ronda Rousey, so she was 8. Now, you didn't get number 1 yet, and you actually haven't got any of the top 3. Do you want to make another guess?
It's probably not going to be, but John Cena.
No, John Cena's not on that list. All right, let's go through the list then in reverse order. So 10 was the Bludgeon Brothers, because obviously they just won the tag team titles. 9 was Carmella, 8 was Ronda. Number 7, Daniel Bryan. He's only sort of won a couple matches, but his obviously star is so high right now. 6 was Nia Jax, which you got. 5 was Braun Strowman. 4 was Charlotte Flair. 3, Seth Rollins. And obviously he has a title now as well, of course. Number 2, AJ Styles, who has a title, of course. And number 1, I even told you his name because I was like, oh no, why did I mention his name? There's not Brock Lesnar. Obviously, he just won the championship. Well, sorry, he retained his championship. So he's listed as the number 1. But yeah, that's something we're going to have to periodically look at. So it looks like every 3 months they come out. But I thought that was kind of interesting, who was and who wasn't there. But yeah, certainly Roman Reigns not being on that list, for me, was a big surprise. And Asuka not even making the top 10 was also a big surprise. In match 2, we talk about the MCW Spring Break. So MCW is Maryland Championship Wrestling. We'd been to one of these events on your birthday, actually, your 10th birthday, and we actually got free tickets for this. I think it was just on Twitter. You just had to like, comment, and retweet. Now, I already followed them anyway, so it wasn't particular. Oh, you had to follow, that was it. I already followed them anyway. It wasn't a big deal. I retweeted and just commented, hopefully we get lucky. And they announced it during NXT, I think it was, a couple of weeks back. And yeah, we got picked, so we decided to go. It was about 90 minutes to 2 hours away, and it was 2 hours with the traffic to get there. And yeah, it was pretty cool. We didn't really know much about some of the matches. The only thing that we really knew was there was going to be a steel cage there.
Yeah.
And to us, that was kind of cool. We'd seen the Punjabi prison match, but we certainly haven't seen the steel cage. And we know that you get super close to these. Do you want to talk about a little bit about MCW then?
First of all, it was in a volunteer fire department. I think,
it was, like Nova Pro does. It was in Hollywood, Maryland. I probably should have said that one.
And it was really nice in there. They had legit chandeliers.
They did. That looked kind of weird for a wrestling thing to have chandeliers, but yeah.
Yeah, and they actually have they have a ramp.
Mm-hmm.
And MCW is one of the bigger independent scenes, so...
The thing that I was impressed with them was, it kind of looks like a TV show. Like you said, it has the ramp there, they have the music there. When we went to the one that was in Joplin, Maryland, they even had the TV screen where you could see some of the promos there as well. And often people come out to the ring and they'll cut promos at the start as well, and then that'll feed into the matches later on, which is something Nova Pro doesn't do. So that's certainly one thing that... the seats were kind of nice as well. Some of those ones where they fold those chairs up before, they're so uncomfortable. I thought they were nice seats. We sat on the back row, and what were we, 5th row?
Yeah,
I think we were about 5th row right from the side. You could see fine. The only reason we didn't sit 3rd row where we could have done was we didn't want anyone in front of you, and then you can always stand up if you need to see.
Yeah, and in Joppa, Maryland, it's a legit wrestling arena, and they have this little area where they have actual filming and commentary going on there.
Yeah, it's really nice. They actually use that as a training center, and I actually saw someone who was there. I'm trying to think what her name is. Is it Rosa Mendez? I'm trying to remember. Somebody who was one of the divas. She's actually training again, so she's trying to get back into wrestling. So they actually use that center for something like that. Do you want to talk about some of the matches? What matches did you enjoy at this place?
I really liked the steel cage match, Joey Mercury versus Bruiser. We actually saw a little preview of that on my birthday.
Now, the thing, let me go back to the start of the match. The thing that surprised us was, because we're looking up into the ceiling, like, where's the steel cage? And he wasn't there. And we're like, well, what's going on? How are they going to do it? So we actually got to see him construct that thing. They actually did it pretty quick. I said they're going to do it during an intermission. And they didn't. They actually had several matches after the intermission. And then they took another short break, and it was 10 minutes. That was it. We watched them put up the first part. We went out to the car to drop off some stuff, came back, and by that time it was pretty much all done. So.
And there's somebody in MCW that we saw and got a picture with that's also in Nova Pro, Bobby Shields.
We did, and we didn't. I think we talked about this in another one. We didn't even realize it before. He's part of the tag team, Robbie and Bobby, and we saw Robbie there.
Yeah.
And I saw the picture. I did not recognize Bobby Shields. He looks so different. But this time it was Bobby who was wrestling. And yeah, after his match, we went up to, we got an autograph, we took a picture. I was thinking you were going to probably talk about the other picture that we got, which was even more famous, I would say.
And before we get there,
Okay.
So I got a signed picture from Bobby, just Bobby, and he also signed Robbie on there.
He did. We didn't notice that until we got home. There was only one of them there, but the picture had both of them. And then when we got home, we suddenly realised we had 2 autographs. So there might be a little bit of forgery going on in that one. Of course, with the names being so similar,
Yeah.
kind of easy to do. But I thought that was kind of funny, actually.
Just add an R instead of a B, and
There you go.
yeah, it's not much forgery though. And we also got Hall of Famer of 2012, J.J. Dillon, the manager of the Four Horsemen.
We did. Now, he wasn't actually supposed to be there. The person who was supposed to be there was Ted DiBiase. And they came onto the ring announcement and said that he was family emergency, couldn't make it, and J.J. Dillon was over there. Now, I have to admit, when I looked across at the guy, I had no idea who it was until they came in the ring and said, oh, it's the manager of the Four Horsemen. Now, I know who the Four Horsemen were, so I was kind of excited by that. So we went across, we got our picture, we got an autograph, and we got to see his rings as well. I got the Hall of Fame ring, so we talked about that a little bit. We talked about this on the WrestleMania episode. I talked about the Hall of Fame, and you said the Hall of Fame was really boring, and you only watched 10 minutes of it. And I seem to remember you said the one that you watched was the 2012 Hall of Fame, which featured J.J. Dillon. Is that right, Mason?
Yeah, I watched that one. I only skipped 10 minutes. I skipped whatchamacallit?
Ron
Alberto.
Simmons.
No, I watched half of Ron Simmons, and I
Okay.
skipped all of Mil Mascaras, Alberto Del Rio's dad,
Okay.
and
Uncle.
Uncle.
Uh-huh.
And I couldn't care less about those. It's like you and Hillbilly Jim.
And I had a couple that I wasn't interested in the 2018 one, who I didn't know. So, okay, fair enough then. And this is the part that's embarrassing for me, and I embarrassed you afterwards, but thankfully no one was around at the time. We got the picture, and he's holding up his 4 fingers, and I thought he was doing it so he could show us his Hall of Fame ring. And then I realised later, because I actually did go back and watch the 2012 Hall of Fame, because I wanted to see it. And I saw as soon as they walked in, they're flashing the 4 fingers. And I'm like, the Four Horsemen. I had no idea. I didn't watch them, but yeah, the reaction I got from you was like, man, I don't think I could have disappointed you anymore, because you obviously knew.
Why would you stick up all the fingers?
Well, I was trying to focus. I was trying to frame the picture, and I'd not seen the Four Horsemen appear. I just knew who was in it. So anyway, now the other thing that we saw at that one, there was a female wrestler there who actually Jackson has the wrestling figure for. I think it was something they gave us when I ordered a package from Impact Wrestling. They threw in like a T-shirt, some coloring stuff, a random toy. Can you remember what her name was? I can't remember what
Angelina
it was.
Love.
Angelina Love, that was it. So we got to see her as well. So, yeah, it was kind of cool. Greg Excellence there, who also used to be, I think, on Impact. So there's a few people. I know Joey Mercury also used to be on Impact, and I think he also used to be on WWE as well. So there's kind of some big names there, too.
And remembering you saying Greg Excellent, I forgot to tell you that when I got the autograph from Bobby,
Mm-hmm.
he gave me the belt to hold, and Greg Excellent did that on my birthday, too. Every single time. The belt's like super heavy, and the wrestlers are acting like it's like a plastic belt.
Of course, you're used to playing with your toys, which
Yeah.
I'm sure are super low quality. But yeah, that one. I remember you saying that. You were like, man, that thing's really heavy.
Like, they're holding it with one hand, raising above their head, And last week on WrestleMania, you said Brock threw the belt at Vince McMahon.
Apparently.
Ouch, that's gotta hurt by how heavy that is.
And he's a pretty old guy, too. And if you weren't expecting it, that would be kind of a surprise. Okay, in match 3, are you smarter than a 4th grader? So, as we met J.J. Dillon, I said this, I actually watched the Hall of Fame from that, and I was actually going to pick out some questions from that 2012 Hall of Fame for you, but I actually saw something else that was more interesting in my mind. I looked out into the crowd, and Rey Mysterio was wearing a mask at the Hall of Fame, so he still stays in character. Now, somebody said that the luchadors, that's like a pride thing, and it's shameful to take it off. But to me, it looked kind of really weird. So anyway, that gave me an idea. I was like, why don't I pick this week people who actually wear a mask and they're wrestling? So that was the only insight that I gave you. I said, hey, you might want to look through your books, you might want to think about wrestlers that wear masks. So I got 10 questions that are related to wrestlers who wear masks. You got to try and guess who they are from the clues. Okay. So, let's see. I don't think I even made up a practice question. I was going to make up a
I've
practice.
got one already.
I think we talked about it.
Yes.
You gave me an example.
Like
one.
somebody who follows you on Twitter, it would be super crazy.
Oh, that was it. I forgot that. Yeah, another one. We talked about Ken Dixon follows me, and I'm not quite sure why. And yeah, I have no idea why Super Crazy follows me. I think he follows the Blade Job as well. I saw a few people on Twitter were like, "Whoa, Super Crazy is following me." I had no idea who Super Crazy was, so I had to research it. But yeah, that would be an example. But hopefully they're going to be a little easier. Now, to help you out, Mason, I got some obscure ones that our regular listeners perhaps might not know the answer to this time. So this might balance the playing field out a little bit on this one. All right, first question. Now, there are a couple of trick questions in here as well, so that might also make it a little interesting. All right, question 1. He operated under the name Incognito or Mystico before he signed with WWE. Which masked wrestler is that?
So I just gotta guess a random masked wrestler.
If you don't know who it is, operated under the name Incognito or Mystico before he signed with the WWE.
Well, I know it's not Rey Mysterio.
And that's what I was hoping you would pick. I was thinking, if I go with Mystico, he's going to think, Mystico, Mysterio. And you're right, it's not Rey Mysterio.
It's probably not Sin Cara.
Okay.
Is it? No, but those are the only two that I really know. I'm going Sin Cara.
It is. Good job. It was Sin Cara on that one. Nice job. All right, number 2. Made his debut on April 30th, 1989. So you can start to figure this out now. At age 14. I thought that was kind of impressive. So I'll do some math for you while you're trying to think. Okay, so 1975 was when he was born, so same year as me. So he's going to be about 43 right now. Or he might be 42. That should help you narrow it down a little bit.
Oh, is it, didn't you say Rey Mysterio was around your age?
I don't know.
Yeah, you said, you said 48, something like that.
I
thought of another masked wrestler I know. Hurricane? Yeah, I know. He's a masked wrestler, but okay. I'm just going Rey Mysterio.
It is. It's Rey Mysterio. All right. Well, this is a great start. 2 for 2. And now actually comes the one that I think that you might know that other people might not know. Okay. This wrestler appeared in Scooby-Doo WrestleMania Mystery.
Oh.
Now that was a cartoon that I know that you saw. So
yeah.
Which masked wrestler was that?
Oh gosh, I remember Rey Mysterio was in it.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good job I had the questions ordered in that. So it's not Rey Mysterio. I didn't see that one listed, actually.
Hurricane's not in it.
This is the one where our listeners are going to be making
I can't remember Sin Cara's, who was Sin Cara's tag team partner?
Callisto?
Yeah, was it Callisto?
Is that your answer?
Yeah.
No, it's not Callisto. You had the right starting letter. It was Cayden.
Oh!
I thought that was one of the
I'm thinking of luchadors.
Oh, okay. So, well, it just mask. Yeah, it doesn't have to be luchadors. It's just people with masks.
I know.
See, I threw that one in because I was like, I know you've seen that one and you like that one as well.
Yeah.
All right, number 4. His book was released on October 31st, 1999, and it topped the New York Times non-fiction bestseller for several weeks. Now, I guess actually this is one of the characters of that people. So
Mankind?
Correct, Mankind.
Yes.
He doesn't always wear a mask, but yeah, Mankind is that one. Okay, and the book was Have a Nice Day, A Tale of Blood and Sweat Socks. So I guess that was more the Socko thing.
We've read Saint Nick too.
We have, yeah, we read that one recently. All right, number 5. Now, I wasn't sure. This was to trick you, to see how much you've been paying attention, but I know you know the answer to this one. 2012 Hall of Fame member, because you already said this. You already said his name.
Mil Mascaras?
Mil Mascaras, very good. And I didn't know who Mil Mascaras was, so I actually had to watch that clip, and I watched just to find out a little bit more about that person. But yeah, and that's how I knew actually it was the uncle of Alberto Del Rio, not his father.
I was like,
I just saw him introduce
you know
it. Yeah, and that was the only reason I knew because I'd watched that. All right, number 6. The wrestler who plays this person is Shane Helms.
Oh, Hurricane.
That's the Hurricane, which you said like twice already earlier on in there. All right, number 7. January 2016, he won his first WWE title, the US Champion. And obviously it's somebody you haven't said yet either, so that might narrow it down a little bit. But you're doing really well so far. You got 5 out of 6 so far.
I really don't think Kalisto has won the US title, and I have to go with Kalisto because I don't know many others.
It is. I'll stop you keep guessing. It is. It's Kalisto. And you got to pick somebody you haven't used yet. So 6 out of 7. This has been your most successful one. All right, another one to see if you've been paying attention. His finishing move was adopted by our guest last week, Benjamin Banks, and is called Dropping Dimes. Correct. It was Vader. You didn't even get a chance to finish the question. Vader, correct. Actually, there was a tweet from him. He's actually been in hospital recently.
Oh.
And I actually saw from Mick Foley while I was looking at this one. He said, after 52 surgeries, wow, that's a lot. This is not a result from football or wrestling, but rather a lifetime of bad culinary decisions and a lot of late Please get your heart checked. It's not too late. Doctors told me to spread the word. My big butt was saved in the last hour, so can you. Okay, so he showed you a picture of his scar from his surgery. 52 surgeries, wow. So hopefully Vader's doing well and he's recovering from that.
He is a big guy, though.
He is a big guy, and like he said, a lot of it was from bad choices. All right, question 9. There's no way that our guests are going to know, our listeners are going to know this one, but this is to see if you've been paying attention again. You have 2 autographs from Impact wrestlers who wear masks.
Oh.
Who are they?
El Hijo de Fantasma and Drago.
Very good. Wow, you are paying attention to this one. Wow, there was 2 there. You had to get, if you got 1, I was going to give you 1 point, and if you got 2 of them, I was going to give you an extra credit. Now, as you missed one already, so technically you're on 9 out of 9 so far. All right, the last one. This is perfect for an audible podcast. I'm going to show you a picture, Mason, and you're going to tell me which is the wrestler. Now, it's from Impact. He's got a white mask, and he has, like, black eye holes, and that looks like a red hat on top. Would you say the red mask on top? I'm colorblind, so I'm just trying to check.
Yeah, that's white, and yeah, there's black. His eyes are black.
And
I've seen him before.
He kind of looks like a skeleton a little bit as well.
I've seen him before, but...
So who is that wrestler? And it's somebody we actually talked about in the last week. Like I said, I'm trying to see how much you've been paying attention this week. I've been throwing little things out there.
I remember one more master wrestler. Hulk Hogan.
It's not Hogan. No. You're right, though. He does have a mask.
Oh,
Any ideas on this guy, then?
He looks like Spider-Man.
Well, you have the right first letter. It does begin with S.
Spider?
That might help our listeners, I guess.
Spider the wrestler? Or...
No, it's Suicide.
Oh!
Anyway,
but
you did pretty good on that.
He didn't have a mask on, though.
Okay, in match 4, we review Monday Night Raw from Hartford, Connecticut. So, do you want to talk about through your top 3 moments for this, Mason?
So, number 3 was when Miz goes to Smackdown without the Miztourage. And I thought that's absolutely hilarious. And a few weeks before on Raw, he's complaining about the Miztourage not thanking him and all that stuff. And now he has to go to Smackdown without the Miztourage. And he's pleading that the Miztourage come with them.
And they actually walked off at the end of the match. He went for the tag, and they just left him. And they were like, okay, that's the end of an era. Now, one thing I did see today on WWE UK is that Daniel Bryan is going to be fighting The Miz when they're in London next month in May. So he's obviously going to be on SmackDown. Daniel Bryan's on SmackDown. So we do actually know one thing from the shake-up. We're recording this actually Tuesday night. Daniel Bryan is obviously staying on SmackDown.
Yes.
I'm going to assume from that. Okay, that was your number 3 moment, I'm guessing, right?
Okay, so number 2 was Bayley slips on the rope. Like, do you know if that was real or was it fake?
I don't know.
I seriously think it was fake because Sasha, she was just walking around and then suddenly she jerked forward.
Of course, things like that do happen. Yeah. And then you just have to improvise. But yeah, you can't always tell with things like that.
And number 1 was Jeff Hardy. He's the new U.S. champ.
He is.
And I'm just really mad with WWE now, though.
Why is that?
Because I want the Hardy Boys to be back. You brought them back from WrestleMania for a reason, right? And they didn't even last a whole year.
Now, we don't know what's going to happen. Jinder Mahal moved across in the shake-up, so he moved from SmackDown to Raw. And then Jeff wins. Now, the problem is, though, the US Champion and the Intercontinental Champion are both on both on Raw right now. So, as we're recording this, we don't know. Surely one of those has to move to SmackDown. And if it's Jeff, I would agree with you, because then they're not going to move Bray and Matt Hardy across. Or are they just going to send Seth to the side? Everything I've seen so far on the internet, people seem to think that it's going to be Jeff. Now, I would kind of agree with you, because you obviously know I love the Hardy Boys. I actually kind of like this dynamic right now. I love Jeff as a singles artist.
Yeah,
I think he works really well. And I'm kind of liking Matt with Bray Wyatt right now.
Yeah,
I think
that's pretty cool
dynamic.
Though. But I'm a little liking the Hardy Boys a little more, though, because, like, you can't do the poetry of motion with one person.
Sure. So we'll have to see how that plays out. My top 3 moments, I had number 3 is what you had as number 1. Jeff beating Jinder. He was just so pumped up when he came out, and I was so rooting for Jeff to win that. Yeah, it seems strange, though. You let Jinder win that, and then he takes it away from him straight away. I said the same thing with Randy Orton. You let Randy Orton win, then you take it away a week later, and I said before that, you let Bobby win it, and then you take it from him. So, kind of a strange thing that's going on right there, but I was certainly always a big fan of Jeff Hardy. I'm glad to see him getting some recognition. My number 2 moment was Drew McIntyre teaming up with Dolph Ziggler. I was actually really excited by that. We talked about, is he going to come back? Dolph Ziggler, who knows what he's going to do? I actually really like that team.
Well, the one time I have seen Drew McIntyre was on a DVD. I don't remember when. I think it was something like TLC, but he was Vince's boy then.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, oh, Vince chose me for a reason. He chose me to fight.
Was he clean shaven on that one?
I don't know.
Okay. Because I know his look changed. I saw a picture from before and after. And I know since he's gone away and come back, he looked totally different to me.
But now, he's a face, I think.
I don't know. I don't think Dolph Ziggler's a face, but who knows where they're going with that. We'll have to see, I guess.
But it's just totally different.
Uh-huh. I thought he was a heel, but it's still too early for me to say. All right, now my number one moment, I'm going to give you a little bit of praise for this, Mason, because you called this, and a few people said afterwards, they were like, whoa, that's a really good call. Ronda Rousey, she came out and saved Natalya, and then who came in to interfere? Sonya Deville came in there, and then those two started facing off. So you talked about that. You thought that was going to be something that's going to happen, and that's exactly what it looked like. So I was kind of interested in that dynamic. From what I understand is that Natalya has been helping Ronda train. So one of the possible storylines is student, teacher, what happens when one of them flips, is Ronda going to be happy? But right now, she was certainly standing up for Natalya, but in the future that might not happen.
Yeah, Natalya, she came onto Raw, She said, I'm happy that the second best woman in the world or something like that is on Raw, and obviously number one is Ronda Rousey.
So what I have is, there was actually 19 people that switched. So I got a list of all the people who switched on here. Jinder Mahal, because we talked about that. Kevin Owens and Sami, and I'm going to give myself a pat on the back, because I called this one on Matt's podcast. I said that they were going to lose, but obviously Stephanie was going to pick them up, and that's actually what happened. Angle said, no, you're not coming, there's only one space, and Stephanie went, no, we'll take both of you, so that was fine. Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre, which we just talked about, Natalya, Baron Corbin, Bobby Roode, Chad Gable. Now, I'm excited by that one. So they've actually split that tag team up with Benjamin, so they're going to bring him across, let him have a singles run, but of course, down the line, Jason Jordan's over there as well. That used to be American Alpha. So that could be an interesting dynamic. Are they going to team up? Are they going to be rivals? So I'm excited by the Chad Gable move. Riot Squad, not so much, because it seems just those teams just seem so much. Now I know Paige has left, so are they going to send? I always forget what the other group's called.
The Riot Squad and Absolution.
Absolution. Are they going to send Absolution the other way? Otherwise, those two teams are so similar.
Yeah, I forget.
Don't know. Mojo Rawley, I wasn't excited by that. Zack Ryder, same thing. Breezango, I thought that was kind of an interesting one. I know that Fashion Police thing goes down pretty well. We'll see what happens with that.
Oh, yeah, they gave Bar the ticket.
Yeah, they did. The Ascensions come across, and also Mike Kanellis has also came across.
That's who I'm trying to think of. The Ascension. Paul Ellering used to manage the Ascension.
That's right, and I actually saw Paul Ellering's name come up this week, and I was like, why did we talk about Paul Ellering? And I couldn't remember who it was. So, the actual top 10 moments were, number 10 was Mr. Smackdown at the request of Daniel Bryan, which I kind of liked. I'm sure he's going to do some yes kicks on him at some point in the future. 9, Authors of Pain deliver the last chapter to Rhino. Number 8, another eclipse, this time to Mickie James from Ember Moon. Number 7, Drew McIntyre joins Dolph Ziggler on Raw. Number 6, the Riot Squad stops Sasha from making Bayley tap, because she had her in the bank statement at that point. Number 5, Breezango beat the Bar. That really surprised me. I didn't see that one coming. Number 4, Hardy and Wyatt win again, which I was really happy about. Number 3, Natalya gets Mandy Rose to tap. Sonya Deville comes in, takes out Natalya, but Ronda Rousey comes out to help. Now, Sonya got back into the ring, but Ronda had the upper hand on that one. Number 2, the Miztourage refused the tag from The Miz, and he had to face Braun Strowman, which was unfortunate for him. And number 1, the Swanton Bomb, and Jeff Hardy wins the US Championship. In match 5, Tweet of the Week. And I actually picked this from @RealMickFoley. Now, I could have picked this one as my wrestling news, actually, and I heard this on the podcast as well, Dinner with the King with Jerry Lawler. So the quote was, "Thanks to everyone who packed at JKL Bar Beal for my induction into the Memphis Wrestling Hall of Fame. And thanks to @Jerry Lawler for a fun induction speech." And actually, that's how I found out about Vader later. The tweet on the leak was actually mentioning that. So it was just coincidence. I'd heard he was going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, so I was just trying to pick something out. And I thought that one, I couldn't really find a tweet. Nothing that really caught my eye this week, but I thought that would be a nice little news fact. Not everybody would necessarily know about that. Bar Beal, because I'm sure you don't know about that. Beale Street's in Memphis.
Oh, I thought it was like Barbie and...
No. Bar, and then Beal. In match 6, we'll look at the best moments from this week on Smackdown Live. So, Mason, what are your 3 moments for this one, then?
Number 3 was when the Bludgeon Brothers are beating up the Usos outside the ring after their match. And Naomi comes out pleading to the Bludgeon Brothers that they won't do any more damage to the Usos, especially Jimmy, because that's her boyfriend, and they just walk away.
And I thought that was kind of surprising. I don't think they've ever really played up that line before, actually, on WWE. They played up on Divas, and it's well known that those two date. But I don't think I've ever seen that, sort of like the real-life connection played out in the WWE world. So I thought that was kind of surprising. The thing I did like before, and I don't know which brother did it, one of the Usos got held of the hammers or whatever it was, but they didn't get to use
That was
it,
Jimmy.
unfortunately.
And there is one, like, you know, Carmella and Big Cass do that when they were in NXT, and they actually were dating.
They did. But I'm going to say, and that was kind of well known as well. But this one, I don't know if it's. I think people who watch wrestling probably know, but I was kind of surprised that actually happened. I'm not sure where that storyline's leading though either, so I thought that was an interesting one. Okay, what about number 2?
Number 2, Big Cass returns.
Yeah, and he'd been gone for like a year, and when he left, it was the whole battle he was having with Enzo. The friendship split up. He just turned heel, and obviously he's going to stay heel. You can see that straight away from what he was doing. He interfered in the match. Well, he went to talk to Daniel Bryan at the start and basically belittled him, and then at the end of the match came in and gave him a big kick to the face.
So Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles are having a tag match against Rusev and Aiden English, and Nakamura comes out, gives AJ a low blow.
Again.
Again. And Daniel Bryan goes to check on AJ, and Big Cass gives him a big boot.
And I was kind of curious to see what they were going to do with Big Cass, because Bobby Roode, he turned heel only a few weeks ago. He's moved across to Raw, and suddenly it looks like he's not a heel anymore. So with Big Cass being out for so long, they could have done a lot of different things with him. So they obviously decided to go that same route with him. Yeah. Okay, Mason, so your number 1 moment?
Reddy Young asks Nakamura a question, and he says, "No, speak English."
And he did that last week, and that was one of my moments, but I know you didn't get to see Smackdown. And I kind of like that thing, because they played that card with Oscar as well, that she doesn't really understand English, and obviously Nakamura does understand English, but it's kind of funny to use that line, "No speak English," and then he just walked off. All right, my number 3 moments were, this one was right from the start. Shelton Benjamin's in the ring doing a promo. Chad Gable's already moved across to Raw, like we talked about, and he said he didn't need Chad Gable, basically. He was holding him back. He wanted a big challenge, and then Randy Orton starts to walk out, his music plays, and then suddenly, like happened on Raw, Jeff Hardy's music kicks in, and then he runs out there, and he fights a good match as well. So that was my number 3 moment. But Jeff Hardy won. I wouldn't expect him to have the US title and lose it one day later. That would have been kind of bad. My number 2 moment, I had Big Cass interfering again. And also I got that question mark. So what's going on with Rusev? Rusev's back? This week we found out, because originally Rusev was scheduled to face The Undertaker. Then it got switched, and it was Chris Jericho with The Undertaker. And then once again this week, it's announced that it's Rusev against him. I have no idea what booking's doing right now. I don't know what's going on with Rusev. I don't know if he's leaving. I don't know if they're staying, if they're giving him a big push. I have no idea. You got any predictions for what's going on with Rusev?
I feel like it's going to be a no-show, and then Cena's going to come out. And...
Oh, in the match against The Undertaker?
Yeah.
That'll be pretty cool.
Yeah. Unless Cena's in the 50-man Royal Rumble, then that won't quite work. Unless he does Adam Cole.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening with that one. And my number 1 moment was Asuka comes to the aid of Becky Lynch and Charlotte. So Asuka's also made the switch from Raw to SmackDown. And I think that sets it up perfectly. We weren't quite sure. But we think that next WrestleMania is going to be a female, is going to be the main event. Ronda Rousey certainly from one side, and then now it gives that option. It could be Asuka, it could be Charlotte, or it could be a combination like we talked about as well. But I kind of liked Asuka coming in. I think it gave her a good pop, because she'd been actually been down, having lost that match. And she took out all 3 women.
Yeah.
She took out Carmella. She took out, I think it was Sonya Deville. And I think it was, I always get the 2 mixed up. Is it Mandy Rose?
Mandy Rose, yeah.
All right, so let's see how we did then. So the top 10 moments were, number 10 was Randy Orton was stopped by Jeff Hardy, so I called that one. Number 9, Ty Dillinger and R-Truth reacquaint backstage with a New Day in a promo. I didn't really see the point of that at all, unless they're going to tag team in the future. Number 8, Samoa Joe makes Sin Cara tap out. Well, what a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was kind of surprised by that. I thought Samoa Joe was going to stay on Raw. His couple of promos with Roman Reigns I thought have been really good recently. I liked his promo again on SmackDown, but yeah, I was kind of surprised he switched.
I'm surprised too, because Sin Cara's so tiny, he could have slipped out.
I thought it was surprising that you'd pair those 2 up. Number 7, Carmella had an in-ring celebration, the Mellabration. I like the name, but that was about the only part I did like.
Yeah, she has Mella on her back, too.
Number 6, Daniel Bryan helps AJ Styles against Rusev and Aiden English. Number 5, Billie Kay taps to Charlotte Flair. Number 4, Samoa Joe promo, but Daniel Bryan to sleep, and then he defeats Randy Orton, and he decimates AJ Styles. That was what he said he was going to do. That's kind of a big list for him. If he puts Daniel Bryan to sleep, defeats Randy Orton, and decimates AJ Styles, then he's going to be the big dog, as it were, on SmackDown, I guess. Number 3, Swanton Bomb by Jeff Hardy, which gave him the win over Shelton Benjamin. Number 2, Oscar arriving on SmackDown, which I had as actually my number 1 moment. And then our number 1 moment was what we both picked as our number 2 moment. The low blow by Nakamura and the big Cass with the kick to Daniel Bryan at the end there. Now, also, as this was the second day, and we also got some other moves. Now, as we recorded the first half of this podcast yesterday, we didn't actually know. We were trying to predict who was going to move across a little bit, so we actually know now what did happen. So Jeff Hardy moved across, The Miz, Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose moved across, which I think made sense. If the Riot Squad goes one way, Absolution had to go the other way because they're just so similar. Samoa Joe, we had Sanity, which is Killian Dane, Eric Young, and Alexander Wolf. Big Cass, who we just talked about, and Oscar. Anderson and Gallows also moved across. The Bar moved across. R-Truth. Cian Almas and Zelina, I think it's Zelina Vega. I think that's how you pronounce her name. The manager.
I keep thinking it's Selena Gomez.
It's with a Z rather than an S for that
Didn't
one.
Ty Dillinger move over, or was he already on SmackDown?
I think he was already on SmackDown.
Oh, yeah, because he was in that house show.
We saw him in the house show, so he was already there, but he was just reacquainted with R-Truth on that one. In Match 7, Podcast of the Week. Now, last week we didn't do one because we wanted to focus on Benjamin Banks, so I would have picked, if I'd have had time, Edge and Christian's Pod of Awesomeness, because the Hardy Boys were on, and it was at WrestleMania 34. Now, also, the following week was pretty cool as well, because it was Aleister Black, which I think you've listened to as well.
Yeah, that's my podcast.
Oh, that's going to be... Okay, sorry, I meant to tread on your toes for that one. Actually, this week, though, I'm going to go with somebody who we talked about earlier and one of your new podcasts that you can listen to. I'm going to go with the J.J. Dillon Show. Now, it says it's clean lyrics. I've actually just finally caught up to date with every episode of Dinner with the King. I started listening 3 months ago, 51 episodes, and I'm finally up to date. So I was getting to that point where I was like, I love listening to his voice. I love the old school stuff. What am I going to listen to next? Now, once we came back from MCW, I plugged my iPod in, synced it up, and when you scroll to the bottom, it says recommendations. The first recommendation was there. J.J. Dillon Show. I was like, are you kidding me? We just met J.J. Dillon, and then suddenly it's his recommendation. And I can't remember the name of the guy who he pairs with, but he does a really good job. Similar to Glenn Moore, he definitely brings out the best of J.J. Clean lyrics, so you can listen to it, and then going back into the history of things. Talking about things I've not really heard about on some of the other podcasts, stuff that Jerry doesn't necessarily talk about either. The one I just listened to today was about how you book a show.
Yeah.
Which I was kind of interested in, things like that as well. He's got a lot of experience that I didn't know about. Obviously, I think when we looked, I think his age is about, was it 75? Yeah. So he's got a lot of experience. I think I've heard him say on the show he's got like 50 years experience in wrestling, or might even be more. So he's got some really cool stories. So I think that's one for anybody in our group who listens to podcasts. Go check out the J.J. Dillon Show. I think they're currently on about episode 40, 41. So I'm already up to episode 4. So I got like another 36 to listen to. But as we met him, and it's clean lyrics, that's definitely my choice for this week. Do you want to talk about the Aleister Black one a little bit, perhaps?
First, I found out that Aleister Black is Dutch. I did not know that.
No, me neither.
It is true that he is mixed martial arts and all that stuff. He said when he was little, he started watching wrestling about when he was 6 years old, and his parents didn't like wrestling, so he would do anything to watch that. So he saw this one little clip where Yokozuna, he kicked something out of Ted DiBiase's hand or something. Mm-hmm. And then when he got a little bit older, still 6 years old, he saw that they got New Japan on their TV. So he told his parents that he would like wash the dishes, mow the lawn, do whatever. He had to do like a whole bunch of chores to watch 30 minutes of New Japan Wrestling, and he would sit on the couch and watch New Japan Wrestling and then go to sleep.
And they also talked a lot about his work in the independent scene as well, how he developed his character as well into what it is today. So that's certainly one to check out as well. If you're a parent and trying to get this, I would advise that you skip the first part of that episode. I put it straight onto the interview for you, Mason. There is a little bit of language from Edge and Christian at the start of that, but the interview itself is certainly good. We're on Twitter at Mgb Wrestling Pod. You can follow me on Twitter at Mr. Bagshaw. Please try and subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, and review us on iTunes at the Visionaries Wrestling Network. Mention us by name, the Mgb Wrestling Podcast, and give mention to Mason as well too. All these things help us get recognised even more, so please take a couple of minutes to do this if you haven't already done so.
It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. The music was Zigzag by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0, http://creativecommons.org/licenses/by/3.0.